Gentlemen, before we begin, just a few announcements. We'd like those of you sitting in the direct view of our camera persons positioned behind to please shift your seats towards your left or your right. Thank you very much. As you're all aware, this transmission is being watched by members of EEMA from across our 4 zones. People who've joined us virtually, you're not alone. Now you can watch this event with your friends and colleagues through our very unique feature called Watch with Friends. The button is on your bottom left side of the screen. Don't forget to put your headphones for best experience. You can share your room code with your friends through the chat functionality of the platform or through WhatsApp. Thank you very much. Can I start with a joke? We may be less in numbers, but हम जो सब यहाँ हैं वो 100 के equal हैं, तो तालियां हो जाए हम सबके लिए. The numbers don't matter. The intentions do. Namaskar. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. For those of our guests who are not from EEMA, for their benefit, EEMA is an autonomous, non-profit body composed of registered companies, institutions, and professionals. It is the only body of its kind in the country, in the events and experiential marketing space in India. And it is on behalf of EEMA, We Care, that I, Geetika Ganjudhar, member EEMA, welcome you all to this event that we're calling March for Women. Now this is an initiative, ladies and gentlemen, to highlight, mark, and celebrate the contributions, the challenges, the achievements of women in events in India. It was in the year 1995 that United Nations marked the month of March as Women History Month to celebrate the contributions and achievements of women in American history and contemporary society. But since then, this month, across the world, by many nations, is now celebrated as Women History Month. And as a woman citizen of this country, I hope that our administration too will, in the years ahead, mark this month solely for the women of India. Meanwhile, we at EEMA We Care, we have dedicated this month to the women in events in India. I dedicate this month, ladies and gentlemen, to all the Tridevis in the Indian events and experiential space. And so, this afternoon, the stage is set for, of course, conversations around women in events in India. The stage is also set for the rollout of EEMA Shakti, an initiative that will celebrate the achievements of women in events in India. The stage is also set for the first ever EEMA We Care Women Mentorship Program that will be launched in your presence this afternoon, an initiative to help nurture the next generation of leaders in our industry. I'd like to welcome in our midst honorable dignitaries. Thank you very much, all of you, for taking the time out and joining us here. I'd like to welcome in our midst our friends from the press and media. Thank you very much for your support. Thank you for joining us here. And I'd like to welcome all members of EEMA. The sun has begun to rise. We've begun to feel the warm rays of hope. Don't be a better time to meet up for this. Welcome to cheers to all of you. And let's just enjoy with the tune to Ab to Hum Ab to Hum Saathi Jo bhi ho jo bhi ho honestly, he was one of the few who first started the fire. And he's still that one guy who I will never challenge on a live stage, at least not yet. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Roshan Abbas, President EEMA, who will now step forward and render the welcome address.
Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you everyone who's joined us here. Thank you, honorable dignitaries, our friends. Thank you, Sabas, for making it here, our past president. It's always lovely to see you here and to see that we have your support. For everybody who's made this happen, our members at the NEC, I know that Aarti and Prerna worked on this closely, and along with them, of course, Poonam, who's made this entire thing happen. Thank you very, very much, because this was, please give them a big round of applause, because while this is going out virtually to everyone, I know the effort that they have put in. We Care had started, I remember, all of us have been members of EEMA, and I do remember the time when We Care was launched, and the entire initiative, the idea was that it is going to be just to bring out what the women in our industry are capable of, what they are achieving, just to be almost this one cell that would bring forward a lot of things. I remember a wonderful event that had happened in Bombay, where all efforts were made to put forward the issues as well as highlight what can be done, because it's not just about the problems but the solutions. I think over the years we evolved it, and as you saw in the film, We Care this time during the pandemic became a helpline for everyone. And as it became a helpline for everyone, I'm sure Poonam will share with you all the statistics of the kind of calls that we were getting, the number of calls we were getting. And I think that is, it is so laudable that we've been able to be a lifeline of support for these people. This time, as the month of March came, the entire idea of having a month, and this is just, I think, a March for women is just a beautiful way of saying it, but frankly, dedicating not just this month, but all our efforts in celebrating the women in our industry is a critical and important, because I'm absolutely certain, while our statistics currently say that it's about 40% of this industry is women, I suspect it is more. I do believe that over the last couple of years, there has been a larger influx of women in our industry, and when you dedicate this month, there are two wonderful initiatives. One is EEMA Shakti, which saw stupendous entries, because, I now feel strange that we ask people to nominate only one person per agency, but the outpouring was such that everybody said, why just one? Why can't we celebrate every woman in each of our agencies? But the fact that we are celebrating the power of women is something that really fills my heart with a lot of pride. The second thing is the fact that we've got all of you here, because if you spread the word and if you are able to tell everybody about what recourse is available, because we will be discussing some things that are topics that normally do not get talked about very often. So I think your presence is critical for that reason. Also, of course, the fact that there is now a body which is here to listen, to always listen and to act upon that is what EEMA is all about. I think the NEC members who made it, the members who made it here, thank you very, very much, all of you, for coming here. Those of you who joined us virtually also, thank you very, very much. And to see people who've turned up here, I could just be taking individual names, but it's just wonderful to see all of you, because that's the support we always expect. That's the support we get from you all. This is the first of many initiatives, and I'm sure the team will share the remaining ones with you. But we have really come a long way. To take over an association in the pandemic is not the brightest of moments. To be able to do everything virtually and actually only meet in Jan when Prerna organized something was perhaps the first time, and I missed it because I was traveling into somewhere and was in quarantine at that point. But the entire point is just this, that we are slowly now stepping out and meeting our friends. There is nothing that replaces a hug. There is nothing that can replace the power of a handshake. But there is also a power to everything you say virtually, because that goes and travels across the world. And I hope that everybody is watching this and will carry this message forward, that EEMA is here for each and every one of its members. It is here to celebrate the power of everyone, and this month, especially to celebrate the power of the women in our industry. So thank you once again, all of you, for being here. Thank you. I will not take more time, but please give everybody who put this together a big round of applause, virtually or physically. And thank you once again on behalf of the NEC and every EEMA member for all of you to be here. Thank you.
And thank you, Roshan. As Roshan just said, more than 40% of the experiential task force in India are women. I'm proud to be a woman in events in India, and I salute each and every other woman in the business in my country. In fact, it's, as he said, it's cliche to say you've come a long way, but really, women in events in India have come a long way, right from the time when they built the industry as we see it today, and now to the time when, post-pandemic, we will build a new version 2.0 of our industry, a version 2.0 where they will be benefited by our womanness and an industry that will be conducive for women to live, work, play, and dream in. With that, I'd like to introduce the opening address of this event, March for Women. Now, EEMA We Care, ladies and gentlemen, was an initiative that was launched in 2017. I remember it was launched during the tenure of the then EEMA President Abbas Joseph. Poonam Lal has been Chair We Care ever since then. And all of us as mature professionals know how difficult it is to birth an initiative, to drive it, to nurture it, to sustain it. But she's done so. And I've always felt that the initiative is in very safe hands because there is a genuine commitment to the cause, sans the optics, sans the politics. Apart from all the little and big victories that she's managed to achieve along the way, during the pandemic, we saw how EEMA We Care rendered incredible, confidential, emotional support to members of the fraternity out there. And now that our industry is once again headed towards resurgence, the wise Poonam knows it's time to restart conversations surrounding women in our industry. But I have to say that, this initiative, March for Women, would not have been possible without the faith and belief of our current president, Roshan Abbas, and our vice president, Samit Garg. But then these are things that Poonam Lal herself will tell you all. Ladies and gentlemen, may I please invite forward Poonam Lal, Chair We Care, to set the context of March for Women. Poonam Lal, please.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and thank you for joining us today. After hearing Geetika and then Roshan, this is a lot of pressure on me to be talking now. So as an initiative, I think We Care had the first mover advantage within the media, event and entertainment space. We had the foresight to envision the need for an initiative that worked to create a safe and conducive workspace for women in events, that talked about taking care of their mental well-being and a work-life balance by proposing work-from-home facility twice a month. Yes, we had the right vision for an industry that employs nearly 10 million people, out of which 40% of it is women. We had a helpline up and running within 6 months of launching the We Care. In 2020 again, we preempted a need of filling the requirement for emotional support in people within the events industry, even as the world took a hit in the gut with the pandemic. With our bank of counselors working pro bono with us, we serviced nearly 500 calls in 5 months, as many from men as from women, on matters of harassment, both sexual and mental, abuse, physical abuse, mental health, job losses, legal and financial problems, and so much more. I'm so glad we could help in whatever small way we did. In the 5 years of We Care, we have organized multiple awareness workshops on POSH compliances, on mental health and wellness. The initiative And with that, I are so fortunate to have had the backing and support of 3 stellar EEMA presidents since it was launched in 2016. Geetika, it was 2016, not 17. Sabas Joseph thought of gender equality way back then and launched WeCare, putting a plan in motion. Sanjoy K. Roy helped it grow into a more robust enterprise, and Roshan Abbas has further helped it evolve with his strong encouragement. And yes, in the 5 years of WeCare, I have been the constant. But thank you, gentlemen. You have done a great service to the vital half that makes up this industry. The pandemic took over our world by storm. It left behind an aftermath of suffering and trauma. We held on to hope and belief through the helpline, shared it with the callers, sometimes pulling them back from the absolute edge. We have handled multiple calls where people have called us to say that they're contemplating suicide. They're contemplating suicide with their entire families, and to actually talk to them for hours and get them to talk to us in return, just listening to them, trying to help them come back from that point and give them reason to believe that the things are going to change. It kind of traumatized me for the longest time myself. Today's story, however, is not about the desolation, fear, and trauma. We've seen and spoken about that plenty. It is about resilience. It is about resurgence. It is about marching ahead and creating the next milestones. We have lived through and survived the worst of times. It is now about preparing women to lead to the future. Today, we've brought together stakeholders who are policymakers, law enforcers, opinion makers, who can help answer the many questions that have been repeatedly asked by callers on the helpline, who have faced harassment and abuse. We have created a much-needed WeCare Women Mentorship Program to help skill and groom the next generation of women leaders. Mark Twain once wisely advised, "Keep away from small people who try to belittle your ambitions. Small people always do that, but the really great make you feel that you too can become great." We have some incredible industry greats who have agreed to share their knowledge and expertise with young entrants in this business. We also have the FICCI Flow Greater 50 who have offered to collaborate on this program with us. The EEMA Shakti honors will celebrate the achievements and successes of women who have contributed to the shaping of this industry. Today, when we walk out at the end of this event, I hope we all leave feeling informed, enabled, and empowered with knowledge, with the exciting opportunities that will continue coming your way, with the belief that chromosomal differences should not and will not determine your rise to the top. Your skills and your work will. As WeCare, we will continue to work to support you and celebrate your success. My deepest gratitude to everyone who believed in WeCare. You gave us the motivation to carry on. For those who did not believe in WeCare, you challenged us to change your mind. And for those who have reached out to WeCare time and again to reiterate my belief, you reiterate my belief that we all need a support system available to reach out to. WeCare is humbled to have offered that support to people when they needed it. Thank you to all the illustrious panel and my entire EEMA community for joining our March for Women. Thank you.
Hear, hear, Poonam. Thank you very much for those words. And I hope you continue doing the good work that you have for the last 5 years. 2016, I'll stand corrected. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm honored now to invite our next guest forward to speak. She's going to render keynote address 1 of March for Women. Rekha Sharma is chairperson of the National Commission for Women, and it is under her leadership, really, that the Commission has achieved one milestone after the other since she's taken over as chair in the year 2018. The recent one being the campaign that they've launched with the National Legal Services Authority to enable legal counsel for women across the country, especially in rural areas. This campaign was launched on the auspicious occasion of the 74th Independence Day of India and was launched across 8 states. The content was also translated into all the respective vernacular languages. Apart from this, the fact that they already have a robust complaint registry system in place, the Commission already has that. Under her leadership, they went forward in the months of the pandemic and launched one of its kind WhatsApp helpline number for women out there battling issues and challenges during the pandemic. You know, ma'am, we at EEMA We Care, we are enthused to have your presence here this afternoon. And in the journey ahead, we look forward to your guidance and your support. She's now going to render the keynote address 1, Equity and Empowerment. Please welcome Rekha Sharma ji.
Good afternoon, everyone. First of all, let me congratulate to EEMA, We Care, and FICCI Flow for organizing such a nice program, such a nice event. You people are celebrating March for Women. Why not Decade for Women? Why not Century for Women? So we are not satisfied only with 1 month. So we want more. Dil mange more. So let's start. We are today talking about equity and empowerment. There is no empowerment without equity, first of all. And when we are talking about equity, we are talking about gender equality also in the society. Though in your profession, that is event management, we have seen women, I think 50% of women are, or 40% as you said, are there in the event management profession. But when I'm talking about EEMA, just now I got to know that 2 presidents were men, but the constant was a woman. So now is the time that women should come forward and take a position of president or mentors of EEMA also, because we are born leaders. Women are born leaders, just that people don't know our capabilities. So now is the time that people should realize that we are leaders and we should be given our place. Equity, as it is, when I'm talking about equity, we have seen India has come quite far off now, and we have about to reach in a better place. If you see any profession nowadays, whether it is science, sports, politics, you name it, women are there. Women are breaking glass ceilings also, but then there are only handful of women. If you see the grassroots level, women still need to struggle, sacrifice. There is no gender equality at those places. And I think we should, all these organizations should work toward the changing of the grassroots thinking. Unless we change the mindset of people, that gender equality which we talk about, the equity which we talk about is not possible in the society. And even during the pandemic, we have seen more women have lost their jobs rather than men. There is a mindset in the society that women are working just for themselves, whereas men are the breadwinners, which has to go. Nowadays, we have seen the women are the bread earners also. And they are, in fact, women are the are the one who don't think about themselves when they earn. They think about their children, they think about their families first, and they are the last one. So, but when the work industry, when the job industry is there, they think that we can, lay off women first, and then I think men are the last one to go for from the job. So we need to change those that thinking. Unless we women stress upon our availability in the work, we stress upon what we are contributing in the work. We don't talk about our own work. We somewhere hesitate to blow our own trumpet. I can say that, because men can go out and talk about their work. We hesitate somewhere, and we need to come out of that mindset, and we should start talking about our own achievements also. Unless we do talk about our achievements and handhold another women, because men will not come forward. Sorry to say, there are men here, they must be hand-holding also, but women to women hand-holding is must, and we should come out and help each other, and we should also talk about our achievements, as I earlier said. Otherwise no one else will give us the space which we know that it is, those spaces are ours. We have seen in recent past that now even the Supreme Court is talking about the equality. We have in recent judgment, we have seen that earlier in the forces, armed forces, women were not given the place, which like they were not in the commanders' positions. Now the Supreme Court in 2020, they said that women can be commanders also in the forces. Women are in flying, they are flying also, they are in doing everything in Navy, Army, Air Force, they are everywhere. Even in the government policies, we have seen the government has come up with the policies which will take women forward, like starting from Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao to E-Hearts, which is giving place for women entrepreneurs to sell their products. But still we have to long way to go. I have seen that women are only 14% in politics, 23% only in cabinet, only 23% women are in cabinet. So unless women are there in the position of power, decision making, I think things will not change much at the lower rank. So more women need to come in politics, at the decision making rank, though in lower this thing, whether it is Panchayati Raj or in MCs, municipal committees, 30% or somewhere in 50% reservation is there, but we need more reservation, especially in assemblies. We need reservation in parliament. Unless that reservation comes, which we are talking about from a number of years, and every 8th March Parliament also realizes that they have asked for 33%, and they start talking about it. This time also they invited me for a talk on 33%. I refused, because every year you talk about 33% and you forget about it. So better not talk on that day rather than talking, taking up this issue, at least in these 5 years. So hopefully this government has again promised 33%, we will get it. According to ILO Global Wage Report, India is at the lowest rank. When we are talking about equity, we should also talk about equal wages. I don't know about your industry, how much equality is there in that, but I have seen even for the similar work in the industry, women are paid less. Even now, they are not given proper maternity leave, which is prescribed by the government of India. if they ask for the maternity leave, they are shunted out of the job, and we are taking care of those kinds of cases. There is sexual harassment at workplace, like previous speaker also said, and this is across all the industries. And people don't even know what is IC, internal complaint committees. So I hope in your industry, everyone has got this internal committee to handle the complaints on sexual harassment at workplace. Otherwise, there is no equity, because these things, make women sit at home. They don't, as it is, women don't go for jobs because of so much social pressure, so much pressure from the families. And if they face harassment at the offices, they rather sit at home than going and complaining also, because families also somewhere tell them that not to go out and complain on these harassments. So we need to take care of, especially in the industry where more women are working, they need to take care of these things also. Women should not be harassed. There should be gender sensitization programs in the companies. There should be proper IC and the training of IC, because we have seen that they do make internal committees, but they don't train them. Even the committee members don't know what is their duty. So we should train them. That is also a part of equity. And then we need to change the mindset, which is the most important thing in the world. And not only in India, but world need to change the mindset toward a woman. When a child when a child is born, from there the differentiation is started. Like if a girl is born, she's provided with different colors. We have already thought that pink is only the color of girl and blue is the color. So from there the difference started. The toys are different. We teach them different games. We teach them different things. In fact, especially for girls, we only teach them that dolls and how getting married. That two things. We always say कि तुम बड़ी होगी तो तुम्हारी शादी होगी और ये घर तुम्हारा नहीं है. These things need to be changed. If we are talking about equity, equality, I think since birth we need to change the mindset of parents. We need to change the mindset of children themselves, because women also, they have also started thinking that they are different. They are not capable of doing things what men do. So we need to, in fact, sensitize them also. We need to tell them, no, these are your qualities. These are the things which you can do, and everything you can do. There's nothing which women can't do. And I think the organizations like yours can play a big role in all these things, not only talking on these halls and in these webinars or seminars, but going to the grassroots and working at the grassroots level. That will make the change in the society, and that is more important. Whereas NCW, National Commission for Women, is concerned, we have initiated many programs, and recently we have started one program which is very close to my heart, that is empowering women through entrepreneurship. And we are giving them training for 2 weeks with IIM Bangalore on how they can start their own entrepreneurship programs. They can start their own business, maybe a small business they want to start, but they should start. And I think slowly and steadily we will improve these courses also. Initially, this course is for initial knowledge, but on second phase we will be upgrading this course. And I want every woman financially independent. Unless we are financially independent, I think we will not get that equal right which we are claiming is already ours, but we need to get that. So being financially independent is very important, and we are working towards it. With these words, I once again thank you for inviting me here, and taking this initiative where we are talking about women, maybe only for a month, but you have started. For that, I again thank you so much.
Thank you for the words and thank you for being here, ma'am. Ma'am, I request you to just stay with us for a minute or two more. I was thinking, would any of you want to ask her a question or two? She's here. It's an opportunity that I wouldn't have missed. I will, in fact, yes, Deepa, please. The audience watching us online, what Deepak Pawar is asking is that this differentiation of colors of pink for girls and blue for boys has been going on for ages. How does ma'am suggest that we work at this and change this?
We should not differentiate between colors. We should not differentiate between toys also. Why can't a girl wear a blue dress? Or why can't we show blue color instead of this pink or any other color for that matter? सारे रंग भगवान के बनाए हुए हैं और सब रंग नेचर के हैं. We are getting all the colors from nature and nature never differentiate. So why we differentiate in colors or in toys or in dress? If you see, a girl is always given a frock. And if she wants to climb a tree, it is not very comfortable. And then you tell a boy to climb a tree and not to a girl. So there is always a differentiation between a boy and a girl when we are raising them in our own homes. So I think that difference should go from our mind. It has to go from our mind, then only it will go from the society.
Yes, ma'am, you back there.
Not a question, but an observation. Basically, ma'am really touched upon a topic saying that men are the breadwinners and women do it for themselves. And my thought is that we are all being paid for the work we do, and it's not about where the money goes. And when we land up at office, we land up with the same passion, probably don't even take smoke breaks, long lunch breaks.
Yes.
And we are probably putting in more efficient hours.
Yes.
So I think that was pretty hard hitting, and somewhere the mindset needs to change.
That's what I was also saying. Because women had to work double as much as men do to prove themselves. We have seen everywhere. For myself, I can speak. I'm in politics from last 25 years, and it took me 25 years to reach here where I am today. So for a man, it is very easy to reach at a position in politics also. But for a woman, it is very, very difficult. Very difficult. Even for small example, if I can give, if I am traveling with somebody in a car, in his car, in politics, people will start talking about, so things. But if a man is traveling with another man, nothing will happen. A woman and man cannot travel. That mindset is also there in politics. So in politics, I learned one thing. First thing is that women should learn driving themselves. Learn earning her own money. She should not say, "Bhai sab, mere liye ye kar do." No, bhai sab. So though I have followed these rules, and it took me longer than other women also, because I was not doing bhai sab and sorry and thank you type of things. But then I am proud of myself where I am standing today.
And very proud of you too, ma'am. I have a question of my own. You just spoke about an initiative close to your heart, the Women Entrepreneurship Program.
Yes.
Would you be open to dialogues with representatives from our industry regarding this?
Oh yes. So yeah, I would like to request you, in fact, please tell women around you, girls, especially young girls, to go to mygov.com. There is an application also in all the phones. You can download that MyGov application. There is a proforma which they can fill and apply for the program. And after 31st, because we are increasing the date, the last date is 21st now, but we will be increasing it to 31st. So after 31st, we will be sending them their letter of confirmation. And the course is online. They can sit at home and do that course. So please tell people, especially young girls around you who wants to start a business. And the course is from IIM Bangalore, so it is really good course.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, ma'am, for your presence and your time here. Ma'am, please, I'd like to request the Vice President, EEMA, to please present you with a small token of our affection, ma'am, just to thank you for taking the time out and joining us here. And we truly hope that in the journey ahead, you will continue to guide us. And Deepak Pawar, I just want to say to that, the question that you asked, very interesting, that, you know, all we have to do is, हमें अपने अपने घर में बदलाव लाना है. I have a daughter, and March for Women, I have a daughter, for her, most of the stuff is blue. तो अगर एक एक घर बदलेगा तो समाज बदल जाएगा, देश बदल जाएगा, दुनिया बदल जाएगी. Well, that's us. We're like family, all of us in the industry. I'm now going to invite forward our next speaker for the special address of March for Women. Nisha Narayanan is the Chief Operating Officer and Director, Red FM and Magic FM. Now, she's a very prominent name in the Indian radio industry. It was her vision of ensuring that Red FM be connected to its audiences across various touch points that led to the launch of multiple IPRs, such as Red Live, Red Digital, and Red Indies. In fact, Red Indies was a very special initiative where they aired non-film content and aimed to promote and create brands out of sheer raw talent. Now, Nisha really is someone who has very often used the medium of radio to further the message of women's safety at the workplace. She's truly someone who walks the talk. Nisha, we're so happy to have you here this afternoon. Please step forward and render the special address, Women's Safety at the Workplace. Please welcome her, everybody.
Hi, everyone. Thank you, Gitika, for a very flattering introduction. So I was requested to speak on safety of women at workplaces, particularly in the media. And last night I sat down to write my speech, and there were these couple of stories that I thought were imperative that I mentioned today. And they're totally unrelated, which made me reflect on the position of women in society at the workplace, and especially the kind of predetermined roles that we seem to be expected to play. So one was this advertisement last week by Burger King, which in UK, which stated very bluntly that a woman's place is in the kitchen. Now, after the whole backlash and the whole fury, and a predictable one, of course, it was revealed that Burger King was actually offering scholarships for women chefs, because only 20% of their chefs were women, and they wanted to correct the whole gender imbalance. But by the time the company explained all of this, it was way too late, of course, and they had to apologize and then delete the tweet. So that is one story. The other story is on archaeological research in South America, and the research paper titled Female Hunters of the Early Americas says, and I quote, "Sexual division of labor with females as gatherers and males as hunters is a major empirical regularity of hunter-gatherer ethnography, suggesting an ancestral behavioral pattern." In simple words, in other words, what it really means is that we've always believed since a long, long time that men were the big hunters, and while women were the gatherers, who I suppose didn't stray too far from the Burger King kitchen of those days, right? So however, it turns out that women were hunters as well. They found prehistoric burial sites in Peru where women's remains were surrounded by these very big game hunting tools. So there you are, that's another gender stereotype which has been debunked. what brings us to the present time is my own sector, our own sector, which is media. Now, if you Google women in media, the stories usually revolves around 4 axes of media, which is media freedom, media pluralism, media independence, and media safety. Media safety is something very close to my heart, and that's what I've been requested to speak about. Now, let me say upfront that there is a huge underrepresentation of women in the media, and I'm sure many of you may not really agree with it, given the obvious visibility of women in the electronic media, right? Now, this is, I agree, a substantial number of women who are at entry levels, which is more than about 50%, and no doubt about that. But the numbers drop sharply on the way up, according to a UN study in 2019, as barely as 5% women only are in leadership positions in the media, right? And this, I strongly believe, also has a direct impact on how women are portrayed in the media and also the safety of women in the media workspace. So these horror stories that emerged out of the Indian media during the hashtag #MeToo movement should make it clear, which is deeply troubling, that power imbalance at the top in media houses very truly exists. And this has damaging consequences for women working in environments of what they call toxic masculinity. It seems pretty clear to me that a good way to ensure safety of women in India is to have higher representation of women, especially in leadership positions. Having women in leadership positions allows for a healthier working environment, more empathy, more openness, less discrimination, and provides a safety net for all other women working in the workspace. Now, having said that, let me also talk about individual responsibility of a woman. So many women in media have come forward with stories of harassment, which happened decades ago when they were powerless, when the media workplace was hugely patriarchal and potentially very, very hostile, and protesting was not really an option there. Now, this, I hope, no longer exists. The key factor that is really debilitating to any form of output or performance is actually fear. And this would apply to men, this would apply to women as well, because we as a community have inherited a society that is not very kind to women. And we should do our best to change societal attitudes. And perhaps the best way to deal with it here and now is to value yourself a lot more, right? It is to focus on building a body of work that we're all very proud of fearlessly, because women at workplaces need to stand up for themselves. They need to speak up. They need to be open and talk about their fears and address them. And fearlessness is not a quality that you develop overnight. It is something that you really need to cultivate. You should hold on to your value systems, both in good times and in bad times. Work towards a far more inclusive environment, support other women, and help each other grow. And I can say this from experience at Red FM, that we still have a long way to go to improve our gender balance at work. Let me add that we've tried to kind of bring about greater balance at all levels, but especially at the senior levels. And there are leadership positions taken by women in different departments at Red FM. And this has brought about better perspectives in our approach for the business as well. Moreover, when there's more gender parity in the work environment, it also allows greater freedom of speech. It encourages employees to voice their concerns and their fears and to express them far more openly. And that, I would say, is the first step towards building a safer environment for women. And another point I'd like to raise here, or another important factor, is our attitude towards women in the workplace. Trust me, no amount of HR policies can really make it safer for women employees if our attitude is not really right. It is important to instill a degree of respect for women at not just at work, but at home, at public places, elsewhere in the society, in order to encourage more women to feel free and confident to join the media industry, to join the events industry, and join us unabashedly. And the last point I want to mention is that the demands on women who work in media is extremely exhausting, because we as a community make it difficult for women to perform at work, and because public intellectuals like Jordan Peterson are constantly telling us that kindness and agreeableness are not desirable qualities if you aspire to be a woman CEO. Aggression is now part of the competent women's qualifications. the challenges, the struggles, the daily fights, the constant demand to prove that you're as good as any man, if not better, have made working women far more aggressive. And this, to my mind, is extremely unfortunate. While there are benefits to being aggressive and the situation demands, no one really has to go through careers with raised hackles. Instead, if women didn't have to struggle so hard to prove every single day that they are good at their jobs as any other man, regardless of gender, they could focus their aggression on doing better work, excellent work, worthy of awards and accolades, rather than focus on fighting every single day. And I'll end this by saying that one of the problematic slogans that came out of the hashtag #MeToo movement was "Believe Women," sometimes quoted as "Believe all women." At one level, it is recognition of the fact that all women, as Elle magazine would probably point it out, are not particularly deceptive or vindictive. I'll say that again, that not all women are particularly deceptive or vindictive, and that false allegations are less common than real ones, right? But even if we do not believe all women, shouldn't we at least listen to all women? Isn't that something we could all agree upon? Our brave sisters from an earlier generation blazed the trail that we follow right now, sometimes at great personal cost, putting their careers and their own reputations at risk. We did not listen then, but we must listen now. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Nisha. Now stay with me, please, Nisha, if you may, for just a few more minutes. I'm going to throw the house open for some quick questions, if any of you would like to ask Nisha anything with regards women's safety at the workplace. I have my question ready, but I'm going to give you all. Hanji, you'd like to? Yes?
You start.
Okay, I start. So, Nisha, when the Me Too movement happened, we did see voices come out of almost every industry in the media, but let me just call out the elephant in the room here and say that our industry, we didn't hear even one #Me Too complaint. Not even one came out, not even one. And it's not that it doesn't happen, it does happen. What do you think that we as an industry or they as leaders can do to change this the next time around?
No, the only thing I pointed out is that just make the environment compatible enough for a woman to raise her voice. I think that's the first step done that allows fearlessness, because the biggest, as I said, the biggest debilitating factor is fear itself. And if you can remove fear at workplaces, regardless of which industry you work in, be it events, be it radio, be it broadcasting, be it media, or any other industry, I think fear is the biggest factor for a woman not to come out. I don't think we should be proud of the fact that no woman really came out and spoke about their concerns from any industry, because concerns are there, they exist. It's important that we allow them to speak up.
Yes, you had a question? Oh, okay, I'm sorry, I thought you did. Does anybody have another question for Nisha? Yes, sir, please.
We can refer to you as the lady in blue.
Thank you.
So the pink has already gone out of the window. The question I have for you, Nisha, is, yes, you've risen to the top in your organization. Probably in your own organization, across the group, you're probably one of the few, maybe 1% women in the leadership. What can organizations do to ensure women shine, women and their contribution are highlighted and celebrated, so that women represent not just 10% more, 20% more, but really become that 60% of the leaders in our industry?
It is a tough uphill task, Sabaz. Thank you for the question, but I did address it in what I was speaking earlier, saying that I think we need to have more representation of women in leadership positions. So when we're talking about just 5% of women in media in the leadership position, as against the 50% of women working in media, that's the balance we need to create. And I think if we do have women in different departments, like even within the events industry, while it is physically very taxing, but I also feel there is strategy, there is vision, there is creativity, there are a whole bunch of departments which are really working in the events industry, and women can do a fabulous job of it. So we just need more women to take on senior roles, and that is the first step towards it, and be consistent with it. It is not a one-time activity. And as I said, no HR policy really can bring about that change until our attitude towards it doesn't change. Yes.
Thank you for your question, sir. Yes, ma'am, please do.
Yes,
Yes,
please.
ma'am.
Just stop seeing employees or people who are working in the organization.
Ma'am, I'll give you a mic because we also want our virtual viewers to listen to you.
I will suggest that just stop seeing people with the gender lens. Just see their work and don't see whether it is men or women. That's all.
Thank you for joining us. I'm going to request Aarti Mattu, Vice President West, EEMA, to please present you with a small token of our affection, and really thank you for taking the time out and joining us.
It was a
here.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Thank you. Great having you here. This is something little for you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Nisha. Next up, we're poised for keynote address 2 by Jyotika Kalra. She is member, National Human Rights Commission. Prior to joining as member of the Commission, she has been advocate on record with the Honorable Supreme Court of India. Everyone knows that she has regularly conducted several gender sensitization workshops across the country in schools, colleges, universities, government and non-government organizations. But what I think is the best part is that she's someone who's regularly filed public interest litigations, the most special to me being these two. The one that led to the opening up of work channels for female makeup artists in India's cinematic industry. And the second one that was regards work opportunities for women in Indian armed forces that led to the opening up of jobs for women in India's territorial army. Wow. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome forward Jyotika Kalra, who's now all set to render keynote address 2 at March for Women. And this one's titled, "The Glass is Half Full." Good evening, ma'am. Are you? You want to use this? Okay.
Thank you, Geetika, and thank you, EEMA, for giving me this opportunity to address this gathering. It appears to be a small gathering, but as far as intellect is concerned, I think there's a lot of it over here. When this topic was shared with me, which said about safety at workplace, I thought that it should have been sensitivity at workplace. Because whatever has been said by Nisha or supported by Ms. Rekha Sharma, what is more required is, that gender stereotype about women should go. Why should women be only talking about security at workplace? Because if you're talking about security at workplace, then you're out of the game. You're out of the game. You are not going to be considered for any leadership position. If I'm scared of my own self, how can I expect anything? How can I expect the workplace to consider me as a leader, to the workplace to take me seriously and to have faith in me? Then I'll take them forward. So what is required is sensitivity at workplace. And when I say so for the reasons, as I just heard Nisha talking about 50% women, 5% at leadership position. It is anywhere and everywhere. In our parliament, we have 14 point, which is Lok Sabha, 14.5%, which is the best number. In Rajya Sabha, we have 11%. At the leadership position, we have less than 3%. even our Attorney General recently spoke before the Chief Justice of India, look, we have only 9 judges till date in the Supreme Court out of 300 odd judges of the male judges. And there is now one single Supreme Court judge. And we had never had an occasion to have a Chief Justice of India, female Chief Justice of India. So the representation is abysmal, and I need to say that the cause can also be the women, because at National Human Rights Commission we regularly conduct gender sensitization workshops, and in one of the workshop, and I make it a point that the speakers should be from within the workplace, from within the organization, not like a bhashan. So 2 male, 2 female with different backgrounds, with different ages, that kind of a group. And I insist that you please talk about your own experiences, what kind of responses you get while dealing with a female colleague, and what are your expectations, what do you find good in them, what do you find bad in them. Similarly against the females also, how do you find working with the male colleagues, what are your points would you like to share. So, you know, that was a good workshop. As it always happens that there are gender stereotypes, women are not given important jobs just because of the fact that they are a female, and then women has to prove that she is capable. It's being said also that a man is presumed to be capable, whereas a woman has to prove her capabilities. So that is a basic bottom line statement which comes whenever you talk about gender sensitization. And then, you know, both the males also said, because I asked them, you talk about positive and negative of your female colleagues. So they said that females' response is unpredictable. They wanted to say that because of the family responsibility, you cannot predict that the women will, or a female will certainly be available on this point of time. So for those reasons, some important assignments are not being given to females. And this is not these male senior officers of NHRC talking in 2021. It was also said in 1979 or something, when it was a judgment of Muthamma, who was an employee of Indian Foreign Services. At that point of time, the Foreign Services rule had said that a woman, if she needs a female, if she needs to marry, she needs to take permission from the Foreign Services, because her marriage and her family commitment would not keep her so much contributing toward the job. Her family commitment will take over her professionalism, which is more required. And when Muthamma challenged that before the Supreme Court, Justice Krishna Iyer said that if family commitment after marriage are going to impact the working of a female, the same family commitment are also going to impact the working of a male employee. So this is, I'm just giving the incidents, how the family commitments are being considered while you are weighing the professionalism of a female employee. And I took it further, and in this Women's Day program only, while I was addressing the gathering, I told the female colleague over there, I said, you know, this has come as a thing that family commitments, I mean, make the women performance, a lesser professionalism comes because they can take leave, etc. I told them that, you know, the family is not the sole responsibility of the female. Please mind it. There is a child care leave, and Commission had recommended that this child care leave should be equally divided, or should be a choice between father and a mother. Why the mother should only be held responsible for the caring of the child? I told them, whenever there is a issue in the family, elderly have to be taken care of, children have to be taken care of, some ailment, etc. Why do you think that it is only you who can take care of it? Why do you want to take a leave? Because your taking leave impacts the working of the organization. It's not like a female takes leave doesn't impact. Taking off leave of any employee impacts the working. So until and unless it's very important, you should not take leave. And you consider your male family members that they can also take leave. And then, you know, I had a feedback on that because I had said that and I had said it very vocally. Then I wanted to have a feedback. And the feedback which I got, like it was 66% said yes, the female should not compromise with their professional work just because they are female and they are the only person to take the leave from the office for taking care of the family members. But 33% were of the view that it is only the females who can take care. So because they only can take care, they only can cook, they only can take care of children, so there is no reason for telling them not to take leave. Or I am in support of childcare leave. I feel that rearing up children is an important obligation and responsibility a female is providing. So workplace must support. I'm very much in favor of the maternity leave and all those benefits which a woman is there. But apart from that, the female also, because leadership position means you are ready for you are fit enough to take the organization forward to the newer heights. So that requires you to perform in that manner that you're not always talking about security, safety, etc., etc., etc. That these are the issues which need to be handled. Because the one I'm repeating, but I feel that it needs to be repeated, the one who is concerned about her security herself cannot be expected to be the leader of the organization. And this topic, you know, our objective is to educate and empower. Education is as is being said, is not only a human right, but education is an enabling right for realization of all other human rights. So education is a must. But with that education doesn't mean that you have a degree of graduation, post-graduation and all that. Education means that you are enlightened, you have skilled, you have at your disposal the hunar or skill which can lead to income for your organization, which can lead to income for your own self. Your education should be of standard that can yield you revenue, that can yield you income. So education is must, but education should be with an objective. I mean, and to my understanding, it should have that economic criteria. It should be capable of you getting revenue out of it, of your livelihood. So empowerment, employability, as I said, empowerment would come only when that education leads to you, creates an economic empowerment for you. Empowerment without money is, I mean, it's only a joke. Empowerment comes with money. Empowerment comes with resources. Empowerment comes when people start taking you seriously. And people start taking you seriously because you are capable of handling their issues, their problems. Why will anybody take me seriously? Because if he comes to me, madam, mujhe kuch itna paisa chahiye, so I should be capable of, mere bachcha bimar hai something, I should be in a position to help him. If a person comes to me, ma'am, ye mere ek muqaddme mein aisa ho gaya, waisa ho gaya, I should be in a position to help him. You go to this lawyer, this petition you can file. So I will become a leader, or I'll be empowered when people start believing in me that she is capable of sharing her power with us. So this is both way, you know, those gender stereotype which had been considering women as a compassionate or a person who takes the people along and who is good at heart, and because of which, you know, at workplace, although it is not as of now, but you know, earlier you would always find a woman taking a plate, and at the stage a male honoring another male, and women with a good sari and everything carrying that bouquet on the stage. So that gender stereotype, and a male would be given a responsibility to receive the guest from the airport. So those gender stereotype which brand male and female to particular kind of jobs has to go. as Ms. Sharma had also said, that your gender should not come. You are a professional, you are a doctor, or you are an engineer, and you must perform like that. And I was listening to this Mahua Moitra also a day. She said, what do you talk about female or male? When I am a professional, I consider myself as a professional. I'm a parliamentarian, I'm a parliamentarian. I was a lawyer, I was a lawyer. So how does my gender in any which manner impact my working? If I start blaming again my gender for everything, then I'm out of the game. If I'm blaming the rules of the game, then I'm not going to win that game. I'll be out. Waiting outside and blaming, this is wrong, this is wrong. But in order to be empowered, you need to be playing that game. And playing that game with the same rules, same standards which are there, rather than starting blaming the rules of the games. And with this, I think I finish over here. And thanks for your patience.
Thank you, ma'am, for your words. And I'm just going to take from what you just said. I just found that so interesting that we should have male hostesses now on stage. We do have. Yeah, and we do already. Wonderful. That's so nice to hear. Yeah. We do. Yes. Okay. Really? I would be delighted the day that happens when I'm hosting an event. Thank you, ma'am, for your words. I'm going to throw the house open for some quick questions. I'm sure you have some questions for her. Please ask away. Yes, yes.
So thank you so much for that. The one thing that Women's Day is the one day when everybody suddenly starts putting up these ads, right? You see all kinds of commercials which come out. And this time there was something specifically about financial independence. Because very often, I think the one other problem is that, even having the option of being able to do what you want with your money seems to be denied very often in that same gender stereotype, that when the money goes back home, it is handed over and it is for someone else. What can really be done, I think, for people to now actually accepting the fact that the money that is earned is, she's the decision maker of that money. But I still find that in traditional places, there is this whole thing of, wo kama ke ghar mein aa gaya, rather than, why is it not her decision? What can we do to improve it? It was just a thought in my head when you were talking and I was wanting to get your view.
Again, she has to take that call. Because I remember when, I had two young boys and they were growing up, when my guests come to my place, they would find those boys working. And people would say, "Tum bachcho se kaam karati ho? Ladko se kaam karati ho?" So I had to take, कि आप बैठी हुई हैं और आपके लड़के जो है वो काम कर रहे हैं. So for taking that call that this is my money, you have to take, the female has to take that this is my money. It's not, again, I would like to impress upon that by this I don't want to say there has to be hostility in the family. You have to manage it, you have to show, you have to find out the way that how can I assertive as far as my money is concerned. And when there is a cohesiveness in the family, I don't think there are issues. But this woman has to be assertive on that. This woman has to, come out of that stereotype that being a female in the family, the male is the in charge or the head of the family, so my money should go to him and I should not question it. So that she has to come out of that. And that is, she has to take that call that this is nothing, demeaning the status of a wife or demeaning the status of a daughter. Having a control on your own money is something, which you have as a matter of right. And you have to assert it. It is not going to come to you automatically. Anybody would like to have money and to enjoy it. Yeah.
Thank you for your question. Yes, Deepak, please. Can someone please get a microphone to Deepak Pawar in the center row? You ask and I'll repeat it, Deepak.
Which is there. So if the millennials, the Z generation, and if you actually speak to them, I think they are all over with this, what we talk today.
Yes, yes.
Yeah? And they don't consider anything of what we say right now or in any consideration. So when we are interacting...
But it's for a very limited section of the society.
No, but that's the generation which is coming
But
up,
it's
right?
very limited. It's almost the 5, 7, 8% of the entire younger generation. If you even now go to villages, if you go to small urban areas, you will not have this, and I can share if you want, a very small and group of the society which we are referring to, where I have seen, the girls sleeping with boys in the same room in a house. It's not being minded. There is no question. Girls drinking liquor, girls smoking with the boys. So it's not being questioned, but it is a very, very small section of the society. We are talking about very limited, hyper-urbanized, educated, modern and smart youngsters.
What do we say about the minister? The minister yesterday from Uttarakhand,
Yeah,
Chief Minister, saying...
He said about boys also.
No, he did say about...
No, I just read it. He said about boys also. He said कि लड़के ऐसे उनके.
लड़के नहीं, वो एक लड़की जो NGO वाली है.
I mean, he mentioned about boys and he said लड़कियां भी कौन सी कम है. About the, I think, jeans.
घुटने दिखाती हैं. तो ये minister बोलते हैं, हमारे chief ministers बोलते हैं.
I'm saying, I just read it. He mentioned about boys and he said girls भी, लड़कियां भी कौन सी कम है. वो ऐसा बोलते हैं. फिर मैं उसी बात पे आना चाहूंगी. क्योंकि उनका ऑडियंस उसको सुनना पसंद करता है. राजनेता हर बात सोच समझ के बोलते हैं. उसको पता है कि किस बात कहने से क्या उसका पॉलिटिकल जो क्लाउड है वो कैसे बनता है या बिगड़ता है. सो अगर उसने कोई बात कही है तो ही मस्ट हैव एड्रेस्ड हिज पॉलिटिकल कॉन्स्टिट्यूएंसी.
And ma'am, this is not a small crowd. We are also broadcasting it.
No,
so it's all there.
So it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because I'm saying that politicians, when they speak with some motive in the mind. It's not that they speak it just like that. Because as I said you just now, it addresses a large component of the society which thinks that this modernism is not good. I mean, so not going.
So you're saying he's right.
I'm not
saying it's
I didn't say that.
Politics.
No, I didn't say that. I cannot say. I have no right to comment upon that. I said whatever he might have said, it must have been suiting his political constituency. So if we have that kind of a political constituency which says that you are wrong, only then the things can be set right. It is politics. It's democracy.
But imagine a chief minister of a state where you have the most foreigners coming in, and you say something like that. So
no, I'm cognizant of that statement, and I've given you an answer that it is the democracy where each and every vote matters. Probably, considering a larger constituency, which is good, which is happy with that kind of statement, this statement might have been given. And he said in a very casual, just read it. It was not exclusively for women. He mentioned about boys, and then he said, "Ladkiyan bhi kaun si kam hai."
But Jyoti, the fact is, there are some things which cannot be said, even if they pander to a constituency.
No, I am nobody. Yeah, but I am nobody to comment upon. I mean, I am nobody to comment upon that. I'm just giving my inference on the not as a. I'm not making any statement.
I don't have a question. I have an observation. Taking off on what you said, I have two sons. I had some female friends who had come over and they were in the house. And it was my mother who had the most objection to it more than anybody else. And I think at some stage, women themselves have to come forward and change their thinking. And people are changing, in my opinion.
And have that confidence that जो मैं कर रही हूँ वो गलत नहीं है. लड़के काम कर रहे हैं तो it's not bad. They keep saying मैं गरम रोटी खिलाती हूँ, मैं उसको खाना मेरे हाथ का खाने के बगैर मेरे बच्चे को खाना पसंद नहीं आता. It's so odd कि मेरा लड़का मेरे ही अलावा खाना नहीं खाता. It is such a bad parenting, I think.
Exactly.
One last question. Thank you so much. It was an amazing keynote. I loved it. I have just one point to make. During lockdown, I realized a very important thing, and that is I can't cook. And the next person in the house that could cook or learn to cook was my 14-year-old son. And since I was coming here today, I had a conversation with him yesterday, and I asked him, I was like, what do you think about gender equality? That was my question to a 14-year-old boy. So he said, Mom, what is that? And I was like, boys and girls. He said, my generation, Gen Z, we don't even talk about gender because we're all same, we're all the same. So I asked him, why do you think that came about? Your thinking, what made you start thinking that way? And he said, very simple, Mom. It is, of course, what we do in the house. It's how you've been treating us. It's how Dad has been treating Mom, as in his mom. But more important is how we have been taught in school. So that comes to my next question. And the question is, do we enroll is it important to enroll education institutes, education, whether it's schools or colleges, in this entire conversation of gender equality? Is that being thought of? Is that being done? Is that being implemented? I'm sure it has been, but his input gave me a very interesting point of view.
But my views, my views are a little different. My view says that it is the kitchen which can make you gender sensitive. Kitchen, when I use the word kitchen, means it has to be from within, the core of your life should mention about gender sensitivity. And I keep telling, it takes generations for people to have such kind of views. My own mother was working and she had continued with her maiden name in 1962. So it takes generations to change, to adopt. And this younger generation, I was talking to a young girl who got married, love marriage, to a boy. Both are like of 27, girl a little elder to the boy. She said, I'm so lucky that I've got such a good husband. He's so good, all that. I told her that, why do you want to express in such a manner? Marriages are made in heaven. If you have got, he might have got you. This is nothing to say like that. Not to, have that kind of, that I'm such a big recipient that I've got, why? So this is, I told her that marriages, and I believe it, although it's being broadcasted, believe me, at that very point, somebody who might be my relative in the near future, she was standing over there. In front of her, I told that marriages are made in heaven. No need to be so proud of being, I have got married to such a great, such a good looking and smart and, and earning well, ma'am. So both are important. I think that's all.
Ma'am, we'd like to thank you. It was such a vibrant conversation that you sparked off. Thank you very, very
Kritika,
much.
one point I
Yes,
have.
you'd
Very
like to?
insightful
Okay.
session, ma'am.
Yes.
A very small step which I'll go back and take and begin from my home. Like you rightly said, everything begins at the kitchen. So from today onwards, I'm never gonna, if my mom or someone will ask, what will you have, beta, aaj kya khayega? I'll always say, ask my daughter or ask my wife or ask my sister and cook whatever they want to have. Yes. Absolutely. मैं ऑर्डर करूँगा.
Thank you for your question. May I please invite Prerna Saxena, Vice President North, EEMA, to present ma'am with a small token of our affection. Ma'am, thank you very much for such a vibrant conversation that you sparked off. And while Prerna is stepping forward to present her with the memento, let me... The President, leading by example, has played the role that he's walked the change.
We had a training, we had 70% females. I said, no, please mind it. There should not be more than 50%.
Correct.
That's also important.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much, ma'am. Well, for almost most of my life, I have always had these moments of frustration where I've told myself, how is this going to change? How are things going to change? It's not just India, it's across the globe. It's been millions of years that we've lived as a civilization. When are things for women going to change? And the only answer that comes to my mind that is really going to work is what he said, that man up there, be the change you want to see in the world. That's all. And that'll change the world. Ji, ma'am, right there, the poster. Yes, ma'am. All right, it's now time for me to hand the proceedings over to Roshan Abbas, President EEMA. He's now going to be steering the keynote panel here that will put the spotlight on safety issues for women at the workplace, real life stories and solutions.